Hello boys and girls, today Auntie Katie is going to read Mr. Grumble by Roger Hargreaves. Are you ready? Mr. Grumble by Roger Hargreaves. Mr. Grumble's name suited him well. Bah, he would grumble every morning when his alarm clock rang. It's the start of yet another horrible day. Mr. Grumble. Bah, he would groan every afternoon on his walk in the country. I hate the countryside. One day, just after he had said this, someone suddenly appeared by magic. There's Mr. Grumble. I wonder who's coming. They've got a wand. It was a wizard to whom Mr. Grumble had the nerve to say, "Bah, I hate wizards who suddenly appear by magic." "Really?" said the wizard. "Well, I don't like people who are constantly grumbling and moaning. I tell you what I do to people who have bad manners. I turn them into little pigs." And the wizard disappeared, leaving behind him a very piggy-looking Mr. Grumble. Mr. Grumble was afraid that he might remain a pig for the rest of his life. There's Mr. Grumble, who's turned into a little pig. Gosh, doesn't pay to grumble, does it? But 5 minutes later, by magic, of course, he changed back into his old self. There's Mr. Grumble. He set off again and happened to pass little Miss Fun's house. "Come in," she cried. "I'm having a party." Oh, love to be invited to a party at little Miss Fun's house. Mr. Grumble went in, but when he heard little Miss Fun's guests singing and laughing, he scowled. "Bah," he moaned, "I can't stand singing and laughing." He would have done better to have kept quiet, because what do you think's going to happen? The wizard appeared once more. "I see that my first lesson wasn't enough," he said. "I'm going to teach you to stop grumbling, groaning and moaning. If I'm going to teach you to stop grumbling, groaning and moaning, I'll have to more than turn you into a little pig. I'll have to turn you into a big pig." Mr. Grumble did not like it one bit. Little Miss Fun and her guests, however, found it very funny. There's little Miss Fun and her guests. You might recognise some of those guests. "Please," begged Mr. Grumble, "turn me back to normal. I promise that I will never grumble, groan or moan ever again." And he feebly wiggled his curly tail. The wizard took pity on him and changed him back into his old self, and the wizard disappeared again. There's the big pig and the wizard. The big pig's Mr. Grumble. Then little Miss Fun jumped onto a table and pretended to be a clown. Mr. Grumble was not amused. "Bah," he snorted. "I can't stand people who jump on tables and pretend to be clowns." You can guess what happened next. He turned into... what do you think he turned into, boys and girls? An enormous pig. An enormous pig whose face was red with embarrassment. "Oink," wailed Mr. Grumble mournfully. Then this enormous red-faced pig made a solemn promise. "Never again will I grumble, groan, moan or snort." "Good," said the wizard, suddenly appearing once again. And Mr. Grumble changed back into his old self. Well, not exactly his old self. You want to see what's happened to Mr. Grumble? Look at that nice smile on his face. Amazing, isn't it? Wow, I'm so pleased Mr. Grumble's smiling. Later, Mr. Grumble went home and, tired out after his exhausting day, he went straight to bed. He slept the whole night without once grumbling, groaning, moaning or snorting. But not without... not without snoring. Mr. Grumble by Roger Hargreaves.